Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 6, Expecto Patronum of Spread This Witches. Tonight's episode is going to feature Elly Pieper, who is the author and artist of the Harry Potter Tarot, and she also has a new tarot deck coming out that we're so excited to reveal on the show. And also, if you have questions, comments, please write them in capital letters, not comments, questions. Please write them in capital letters in the chat box so that we know that that's an actual question, because sometimes the chat stream gets really crazy and we can't keep up. So just make sure you do that. And tonight we're doing a new segment, basically where we tell you all the new discoveries that we've made in tarot. And I'm going to let Avalon start that off because it was her baby, so to speak. So Avalon, why don't you tell us about the new stuff that you have discovered?
All right, party people. So I have written some of this new stuff down in a book. So I've primarily got decks for you and then a little bit of news, right? So I'll start off with a little bit of news. Some of you may know Tarot Summer School that's run by Ethany from YouTube. She is launching her Tarot Summer School and she has amazing, about 15 teachers from the YouTube community and also authors such as Chris Ann Donnelly and Benabel Wen and dailytarotgirl.com and, you know, those types of, you know, larger tarot names. So they're all going to be there. Everyone's teaching a little class. I myself am teaching a little class. So that's happening. Now, moving on to some decks that I have recently discovered. And I've been stalking a few people on Insta and, you know, the Witchbone, she's there with her awesome tarot deck. And it is the Witchbone Tarot that is up for pre-order on Etsy. So that is an upcoming deck. I think the pre-orders close in like a week or 2 weeks. So we're skimming that one. But it is beautiful. It's got componentry for like astrology componentry. If you're really into your occult type decks with that witchy, you know, like edge, not the ghastly witchy, not the uber comical witchy, but that nice, you know, hedge witchy kind of feel to it. It's very earthy and delicious and beautiful. And so that's one that I discovered on Insta. Then I went on a little, you know, I went down the tarot rabbit hole with Allorah Rain. We decided that we were going to do this. I put it forth and then we're like, okay, so how do you find out where to find these, you know, these new upcoming decks for pre-order? And we had to look far and wide, and it ended up being the most functional exercise because we stumbled across so many awesome decks, so many awesome resources that are in the upcoming. And so the next one that I found via this method was the Darkness of Light Tarot by Tony DeMuro. And it is on pre-order as well. So he has a website where you can see this really awesome, tasty, dark, a little bit gothic edge kind of a tarot deck. And it's a full 78 cards, as is the Witchbone Tarot. It's a full 78 cards. Just so yummy, and a perfect deck for autumn equinox, for Samhain, for the darker months, or just for the darker soul if you have a darker soul. And then the last one that I've got for recommendation is, and let's hope that I pronounce all of these names correctly, it's the Numinous Tarot by Noel Arthur Hempel. I hope. And it is beautiful. It's wicked full out color. It's got this just mystical edge to it. It's very vibrant. A perfect deck all year round or in the lighter half of the year, depending on when you like to deck rotate. If you like to deck rotate, that's a concept that not everyone's down with. I realize this, but if you do want to do that, that's something that you could do during the lighter half. And they are the 3 that I have got for you right now. So 3 yummy, tasty decks, all available for pre-order, and you know, you can really buy up and absorb all of that yummy goodness. So that's what I have.
All right, and I will allow our guest of honor. She has brought some things that she loves and is going to tell you guys about. So Elly, why don't you take the mic?
Do we have it? Can you hear me? Awesome. All right, so I don't have any new discoveries, but I have a couple of tarot decks that I've been working with for a long time, and that really influenced my art as well, and artists that I really admire. Obviously, one of the big ones that I reference a lot in my description of both the Harry Potter tarot as well as the New Elements is the Crowley Harris deck. You know, we all know it, we all grew up with it. It's still a classic to me, and it's really taken tarot to me into the 20th, maybe not the 21st, but the 20th century. Another deck that I absolutely love is the Mary L. tarot deck. She's actually managed to get a beautiful edition out. It's a beautiful boxed edition with a wonderful book, and the cards are a little bit large to handle. They're kind of big, but again, I think her artwork is amazing. And in fact, some of the tempera drawings or paintings that she did for the cards, she's actually now selling on Etsy. They are a little bit expensive on the $400, $500 range, but worth it, because to me, it's one of the most amazing, really individual new tarot decks that are out there. And she has a really unique voice, and she worked for many, many years on it, let people in on the artistic process on her website, which was really exciting to kind of see how she developed the deck and how she grew with it. So to me, that was a great artistic evolution to follow. Another one that I really like, it's kind of light and ephemeral, but I think the artwork is just amazing, is the Shadowscapes. I don't know if you can see it. My camera is terribly light. It's actually by Stephanie Puimun Law. And it's kind of Fae type, very light drawings. It's elemental, kind of like what my inspiration is. So for example, her cups are very much images of fishes. Her pentacles have like lizards and stags and, you know, kind of animals of the earth. So I really like her deck as well, although I don't work with it quite so much. And then a last one that I had is the Crystal Tarot by Elisabetta Trevisan. And to me, it's a deck, I don't like the way it's on the outside because, again, it's getting there. It's a lot of stuff on the rim, which is kind of drab, but the images themselves are like stained glass. It's beautiful colors, vibrant reds, beautiful blues. So it's just, you know, just optically, I think it's a beautifully appealing deck. So that's kind of my, you know, my mainstream, my staple. And again, you know, it's decks I think people can work with. They have concepts behind them. They are erudite, you know, and they really explore the depth of the tarot to me.
Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing your favorite decks with us and how you got inspiration for your decks. And I guess the next person to tell us all his new favorite stuff is the only male in the room. 2 owls. Go ahead.
Yay.
What is up, everybody? So it is awesome to be on this side of things for my first official time hosting STW. So that's fantastic. I wanted to bring some info about some decks, maybe not some brand new decks. You know, these are coming out this year, and they've already had some, you know, some talk and some squabble about them already. But I wanted to make sure that everybody knew about them because I am excited about them, and they are decks of people that I either know or that I am super fond of. And the first one I wanted to talk about was Stephen Bright's deck that is coming out, the Spirit Within. It is a very, for me, I'm such a fan of the art that I've seen so far because, you know, it brings a different, and I say light, you know, different light to tarot in that there really is no light in it. Everybody is a shadow, and it's about color, and it's about the color pop against the, you know, the shadow of the people. You know, there are no faces. It's all shadow bodies, and it's interesting. And so I'm very excited to get my hands on that deck. And then the second one that I want to talk about is, so Fabiola Strani is the artist for the Night Sun Tarot, a deck A that I'm super fond of, that I am just, you know, super excited about when I got it, and continue to be excited about it every time that I use it. He is bringing out another deck, or coming out with another deck. Can I talk today? My goodness, can I stutter some more? He's coming out with another deck, the Santa Muerte Tarot, that just released some new images from the deck. It's either got to be, because I stock it, so it's either got to be yesterday or today that they came out with new images for. And so I'm hoping that we get to share those. And if you have not checked it out, go out to Amazon. or just Google search it. The best thing to do is just to Google search the Santa Muerte Tarot, and it's just like this. Everybody is a skeleton, and it's just very like Dia de los Muertos, and it's just a phenomenal deck. So those are the two that I'm bringing to the table today. Next, on to you, Allorah.
Alrighty, so I'll wrap it up. There's two that I really want to mention, but I can't. Because when I went down the rabbit hole with Avalon, the first place I looked was where I found Elly's decks was Deviant Art. And I have found some artists on there who are also creating some really great things, but the decks aren't finished, and I don't know if they plan to finish them, so I don't want to get you guys excited about stuff that's not going to happen. So I'm just going to move on to decks that I really want that are going to be released later this year. One of them, or the first one, is the Sacred Traveler Oracle by Denise Lin. She is also the artist of the Native Spirit Oracle, and she's also written a bunch of books. This one intrigues me because I can't find cards on it anywhere, but like the front of it is gorgeous, and I know Denise Lin's other work, so I have a feeling this is going to be a really good Oracle deck. And it is actually being released on Samhain, Halloween this year. And then the other deck that I'm really excited about is the Star Tarot. This is by Kathy McClelland. This is on Eclectic Tarot, has all the images. You can look at them and all that stuff. This one is getting released July 28th of this year. And I also found a book that is coming out, and I don't have the date on me, but it's coming out later this year. This one's called Tarot Time Traveler, and Marcus Katz is like my tarot Midas. Like every book that he sits down to write, him and Tally Goodwin, is like a winner. Like I don't know what they do or how they do it, but the man is a genius with his partner. And this book, it really interests me because it looks at tarot through the lens of history, and it uses historical examples and how to use the tarot to tell future events. And I can't wait for it to come out because, like I said, they use like actual written documents and cases from way back when and tarot readings and stuff. So I'm like uber excited about this deck coming out. And all of the decks that we've mentioned and books and all of that stuff is linked in the description box below. So if you missed anything or didn't write anything down, don't worry about it because it's in the description box. So just wait till the end of the episode and then go check it all out. So now to the fun part, we get to talk to Elly about her decks. And she has actually brought original art. And oh my gosh, we have so much awesomeness for you guys. So Elly, the first thing I wanted to ask you is, so I know that you contacted J.K. Rowling and Warner Brothers blocked the project. Did they tell you why?
It was a really interesting situation. So I contacted, at the time, Little was J.K. Rowling's agent. And I sent a couple of pictures of the deck, and they were very complimentary and said, hey, if you can get something worked out with Warner Brothers, because obviously some of the images were movie-based by that point, you know, we are not going to hold anything against you. Go ahead and do it. So sent the whole thing to Warner Brothers, kind of asked, and just got nothing back. 2 years later, this guy contacts me. He actually had kind of inroads into Warner Brothers, and he was talking about a collaboration to put this into a smartphone app. And so, so have the cards there, you know, and you could go and dial up your card of the day or do a spread or something like that. And he actually pursued this on with Warner Brothers and finally got a response, which was nothing I ever got. And they said, well, a tarot deck isn't a sanctioned product from J.K. Rowling's new agent, so we can't do anything. And that pretty much kind of, you know, nipped the whole thing in the bud, and I just never went commercial with the whole thing, which I totally understand. I mean, you know, I'm using, you know, Alan Rickman as Snape, you know, so there is definitely involvement of a lot of creative genius that went into the whole franchise from Warner Brothers. So I'm okay with what they said, you know, it's their product. But it's kind of a shame because this whole thing has kind of been languishing. There's a lot of interest. A lot of people love the deck. A lot of people want to work with it. But you know, and then the downside, the really dark underbelly was that there was this guy from Ukraine who actually offered a ripped off deck, both on eBay and Etsy. And unfortunately, I was kind of the stupid person. I had it out on deviant art with 100 dpi width, and it was very easy to download and produce. And in fact, I actually have one of the decks. Give me just a sec.
So, folks, just to catch you up, what she's talking about. Yeah, go, Avalon. You go for it because this happens.
This is a thing. Like, I know that this is something that's affected a lot of tarot creators, from Barber Studio to our own beautiful Anna Turian. There are people directly ripping off these artworks, and they are reproducing entire decks and then selling them off to people. And the majority of people that are buying them don't actually know that they're buying a ripped off version. And there would be some that do, but there's definitely a nasty edge to that. So I'm really sorry that this has happened to you, because that's plagiarism at its best, and that's just disgusting.
Yeah, and I mean, the weird thing is, the only reason why people contacted me was the guy had a booklet included with the deck, but it's in Russian. And so I guess a lot of people kind of Googled HP Tarot, find out I had the English version on DeviantArt. Was like, oh, can we have your English interpretations of the cards? I was like, yeah, duh. And that's how I found out. So the cards are like this. This is the card back, which is just, no, this is my card back. So he just took something, that's literally ripped from the Warner Brothers franchise, which, I wouldn't even have dared something like that, because it gets me into trouble, because it's really ugly. And it's out there, like I said, the girl from Spain actually went to war with, I think, eBay, and got them to shut the guy down, shut the deck down, and refund her money. So good on her. I never got that far. So, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of the underside. Like you said, it happens to a lot of people. And right now, what I'm sad about is when you go to DeviantArt and look at my decks, both of them are 300 DPI, across, which is, if you try to print it out, it look like shite. So.
Yeah, and we're actually going to, after we look at some of your original prints, I actually have it set to where I can share my screen. And that way, when we go to your new deck, I'm going to tell everybody that if you look in the description box, there's a link for Elly's new deck, and you guys should just head over to that page, because the broadcast is actually going to turn off and the screen is going to turn into her deck. But if you go to the link, you'll be able to pull up the cards yourself, so you can see in better detail than I'll be able to show you on the broadcast. But when we get to that part, we'll get to that part. Okay, So can we see some images, like some of the originals from the Harry Potter?
Sure. So here's the Fool. I'm trying to, like I said, it's like about a 12-inch by 9-inch.
Oh my God.
And like I said, it's probably hard to make out the detail, but it's a lot going on that I think the cards actually did a really good job with the reproduction, but there's more happening.
Y'all can turn on your mics for this part.
It's just going to be a lot of me going, probably nothing that you really want to hear.
I'm so in love with that image. The eye of the dragon looks real. It looks real. I feel like it's looking at me, and that makes me feel weird.
And it's kind of interesting to see how, I mean, the deck evolved alongside with the books and the movie franchise. So when I started drawing, a couple of the books were out, and the movies were out. But I mean, Colin Creevey hadn't died yet. When I drew him as the Fool, he had survived the attack. Took a picture of the basilisk through his camera, and he wasn't petrified. The camera saved him. And so if I had to think about the whole thing again after all the books were done and he was dead by the end of Deathly Hallows, I would have probably gone like, well, he wasn't all that successful a fool. But when I was drawing the card in 2007, he was doing okay. He was kind of a lucky one.
He was hanging in there. That's perfect. That's perfect. It's so interesting for me to hear that your artwork has been around for, like, the artwork for this Harry Potter Tarot has been around since the early stages of the book releases and then the movie releases, which was, quite some time ago. So this has been a thing that's been developing over, it's been a decade, right? Has it been a decade?
Yeah.
Wow, you are in the lead of the Marielle with that one. Her deck developed over 10 years. Harry Potter X Sketches deck developed over 10 years. Apparently 10 years is the vintage for a really good tarot deck.
Well, I mean, give you an example. When I was starting to draw, Helen McCrory hadn't been cast as Narcissa. She had the kind of two-tone hair, which was kind of weird, after the book descriptions. So here's my Narcissa, who is nothing like Helen McCrory. You may recognize her, but,
And this is done with pencil, isn't it?
Yes.
My God, you are amazing.
So there's a little bit of ink. So what I liked was some of the Art Nouveau paintings that have really been a big influence for a long time was to kind of take the outline of a face or a picture and to kind of outline it in ink. And you can see that if you look at her face, there's this dark outline around her. And I wanted that to really get the figure to stand out. The rest of the design doesn't really have that. It's just pencil on paper, but there's a little bit of ink in there as well. And then the outline of the kind of ornaments on the side, that's ink as well, and then it's just white. So I wanted to have something else going into the cards, and it's actually, for the major arcana, it's a different ornament than the cups, different ornament from the wands. So I kind of wanted to tie the cards together that way as well. It's kind of subtle, and I don't even know if you really see it when you work with the smaller cards, but at least it was there as an initial concept.
That's awesome. That's just awesome. Like, I'm really, really impressed. I don't even think impressed. I'm dazzled. I think I'm actually dazzled by your artwork. I'm dazzled. I'm literally dazzled. And what you've done with pencil, like, and I'm a person that if you were to see my collection, I don't really have black and white decks. I do have a couple. I've got about a handful of black and white, but I would happily, I don't really use them as much. I don't use them as much as my colored versions, but I know that if I had your beautiful art in my hand, that there isn't a god that could stop me from shuffling that deck and using it. So I would happily have it here on my table. I need it for my space. I need it. The savage collector in me needs it for myself. I need it.
Thank you. Yeah, and I've had the question quite a time that, do you produce this in color or would you make it in color? And it's, for some reason, I have just the really detailed work I do with pencil and paper. You could probably put like watercolor washes behind it, but sometimes that also happens to start smudging up the the graphite. So I kind of left them the way they are. And fortunately, especially with a new deck, again, I got the question, do you have them in color? And then when I said, sorry, I don't, US Game System said, never mind. So I'm kind of happy about that.
Well, I actually pulled up the Empress because I wanted to see if I could see the pin line work in the smaller card. And I actually can't even tell on this one. I don't know. Focus.
Yeah, there's the original.
Oh,
I don't know if you can see more.
That's just amazing. That's amazing. I've got to ask Elly, and this is just the collector in me. What type of cardstock is it? Is it 250 GSM? Is it 3? Is it 350? Is it 400 GSM? Like, have you reprinted this? What, like, tell me, give me the good stuff. Give me the juice.
Okay, it's I think it's 330, and the company I'm using is Make My Own Playing Cards. I think the address is Make My Playing Cards. It's an operation out of China, but they're super courteous. They've done a really good job with both decks. And in fact, I actually reprinted, now this one is not for sale because it's not my deck, but a couple of months ago, I bought myself a copy of the Penny Dreadful deck, which, they use there, and it was horrible. It's a piece of purple, horrible cardboard crap that literally kind of disintegrates under your hands. But I love the cards. I mean, the artwork is amazing. Let me see. Can I find the one I really loved was the star.
Oh, wow.
So it's just this hand with the claws. I mean, it's a very dark deck, but the design was amazing. And so I went to work in Photoshop and literally extracted the white line work from the cards that were just, I scanned them, they were just horrible. I mean, you couldn't even work with them, they would have just broken apart. And submitted them to my playing cards with a different background, and they did a fantastic job. Now, like I said, that's just, I would not sell this. I paid my price for the original deck, so I don't think I'm ripping off anybody. But I just wanted to have the cards to be able to handle them and not feel like falling apart. So I think they're doing a really, really good job. Whatever challenge you set them, they come back through. It's super easy to upload. So if you ever had a deck that you wanted to produce yourself privately, I would say they are amazing. They're really, really good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And that's a really good tip for anybody who wants to design their own divination deck out there, you know, who want to use, you know, collected images, photography of their own, and create something that's a very personal experience for divination, or for, you know, for reading, for oracular reading or tarot style readings. I think you can do it that way. I have heard of them. I've heard people have had really, really good experiences with them. And yeah, so thank you for that little tidbit, and for the 330 GSM information, because that means something to me. That would mean that it's the same as Llewellyn, for those who...
Mm-hmm. They have different options as well. Actually, I had my the Harry Potter one that I'm using right now. I actually had it printed on plastic, and at first I thought, oh my God, that is just anathema. You know, that's just so inorganic. But the cards are actually, they're holding up really well. They're very supple. You know, so I would even say, you know, go out there. There's several options. Just try, and then figure out what you like best and what's most comfortable handling and shuffling and, you know, manipulating. So they offer different options.
Ah, and so your new era elements tarot, can you give me an insight on what that's going to be printed on?
I don't know what US Game Systems does. So what I did was, when I finished the deck, I basically sent off an application to Llewellyn, and I sent one to US Game Systems. I included a couple of make my own playing cards. I just cut up a deck in 2 pieces and kind of sent, you know, a couple of cards to the one guys and a couple of cards to the other guys, and said, here's my vision of what I have. I can support files that will basically allow you to print, you know, the same thing. Never got anything back from Llewellyn, but US Game System was super nice about it. They made contact in November. I'm currently working on the booklet that's going to be with the cards, that's having the card descriptions. But they haven't sent me any, they said they're going to send samples, you know, and they want me to authorize anything before it goes out. So I still have to see what the cards are going to look like.
Okay, that's exciting. Just if they give you the option of 350 GSM, if that's the highest they give you, then definitely go with that good quality cardstock, because that means the world to a lot of readers who shuffle. Like, you know, there's a nice interim cardstock quality for those who use the deck professionally. I feel like I should tell you this because you're the artist, and I'll be the one that will be using your deck professionally for multiple readings.
To know. Thank you. Yes.
And so shuffling, it needs to hold up for a good shuffle. And I have decks here that I would have shuffled close to 10,000 times, and because they're such good you know, good quality, they stand the test of time, and that's a beautiful thing. So to have a good quality cardstock, there's also too thick a cardstock, and so you could go up to the 400 GSM, and that's a little bit too thick, and you have to slide shuffle that. People can't riffle shuffle that kind of deck, kind of cardstock. So there's a sweet spot. There's a sweet spot in amongst the cardstock variety. Okay. And I think that 350 GSM, that's that little sweet spot. That's for me personally, right? And for most of my tarot decks and oracle decks.
I'll keep that in mind. That's a great tip. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Okay, so since we're talking about, we kind of got into the new era elements, I'm going to turn this broadcast into the screen in which holds all of the cards. You guys can follow the link in the description box if you want to look at them more closely while we're talking about them. You guys all might want to unmute yourself, because I don't know if you guys still have the controls when I turn this into a screen share. So here we go. And Chase, I'm going to let you start off the questions.
Oh, because I have so many.
I know.
I've been saving all of my questions.
I know.
I've just been sitting here super quiet so that I can be super obnoxious when it came to this deck. Like, I am just so, I'm ecstatic for this deck. When I saw the art, it was like, like, you know it's going to be a good deck when the art is so good that you're looking at it through a computer screen and you're having this visceral just response to the deck. And the first question I had for you was about the 3 of air, and you know, it is such an image that elicits such a reaction, and it's, you know, it is a real life it's a real life thing. It's a real life moment. It's something, it's a struggle. And I just wanted to know kind of where your, well, answer that for this card, but I also want to know through the deck, like what was the inspiration? Like what got you to this point of saying, this is what I want the 3 of air to be? It's such this deck is amazing. My mind is blown.
Wow. Thank you. Well, my main thing was I wanted to go back to the elements rather than the magical tools. So I wanted to have something that was more immediate, because we all have encounters with fire, we have encounters with air, we have encounters with water every day. Whereas we don't handle swords that much, or chalices, you know, maybe you have a coffee cup, but you know, so I wanted something that was immediate. And then I also wanted something that was modern and that was more inclusive than some of the, you know, white knights and white ladies kind of traditional decks. So those were kind of my 2 things: go elemental, go modern. And so when I was looking at the 3 of swords, I had the imagery, which I always found very captivating, of the heart stabbed with 3 swords. Mm. But like I said, that was kind of archaic. So I wanted to make this into a reference. So the guy still has the tattoo on his arm.
I love that. Like oh my gosh, like I love the 3 of swords anyway, which is why I started with this card. But like, you still had a represented, and it's just this. I don't know. I'm obsessed with you. It's fine. It's normal.
But the modern part to me was
nothing creepy about that.
Nothing at all.
Grief today, right? You know, do we numb it? Do we acknowledge it? Do we work through it? Do we try to bypass it? Do we drug it out of our lives? What do we do with it? And so to me, the needle was kind of a modern way of showing that kind of being wounded. Mm-hmm. But not necessarily being wounded by a sword, but being wounded by your addiction, by being wounded by what diminishes you as a person, being able to interact with your environment, you know, realizing your full potential, and you're doing it to yourself. And so to me, that was one way of working with the card. I mean, I've had addiction in my family. It's something that's been with me in my life, and I've seen the sorrow that comes from it. And it just seemed to be a concept that was tied to me for this idea of grief and betraying yourself and being vulnerable. And so I was trying to combine the traditional design, which I still kept, with this more modern interpretation. You know, it's not swords that are stabbing your heart anymore. It's the pill you swallow, or, you know, the glass you have too many, or the injection you give yourself.
Something else that I got out of this card specifically was a toxic relationship, which I think gets overlooked with the 3 of swords a lot of times.
Absolutely. You know, and we do that too. I mean, sometimes we use people to be a crutch, you know, to be something in our lives that we should provide for ourselves and that we don't. And I think we suffer for it, and the person we use for that suffers for that as well. So I agree, you know, especially for a relationship card, that would totally come to bear.
For sure.
Okay, what's the next card we want to look at?
Judgment, please.
Okay.
I have them all lined up. Like I'm ready to go.
Hold on, remind me, which one is that? Oh, yep.
Oh, it's the guy with the broken. Yeah.
Got it.
Oh, so good.
We have fallen in love with the same cards, Chase.
Oh,
like we did this last fortnight, and yeah, it was the same exact cards. You picked the same exact cards.
So to me, again, it was the traditional one, you know, it's the angel blowing the trumpet and everybody's coming out of their graves, and it's the resurrection of the flesh. And I was raised in Catholic nun school, so I get that. But it's, come on, is that really what's happening in life when you're being judged? It's, you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I hate my guts. Or, you know, you're a failure. Or, you know, other people judging you for you. So I think it happens every hour of every day. We pass judgment on ourselves. Other people pass judgment on us. And we have to deal with it in a constructive way. And so to me, the picture kind of showed that, because what I really liked was the guy's expression. You can't really read him. He's not really disgusted.
Yeah,
I love that. Proud. He's just like, he's so ambivalent, and I really like that, the way that you could read this so many different ways.
Yeah, I really like it as well. I think that there's an indifference about it.
Yeah,
and the aspect of mirror and the shattering of the mirror, I think it's very symbolic, especially from a more contemporary perspective of judgment, because you are right. Like, a lot of people suffer from comparative mindset, and they tend to reference themselves and their own self-image in this, you know, comparative mindset. And the mirror is a huge indicator of that self-reflection aspect and the distortion that can therein occur. So I'm like, I feel that card a lot. Like, I feel it a lot, and I think that that's a beautiful representation with a really great contemporary edge to it. I think it's very relatable, you know, for anybody of just about any mature age. Like, and I'm talking maybe even 14 and 15 above, like that. That's when their self-image begins to start to shift a little bit, you know, during those teen years. And the mirror is such a huge indicator and a great symbolic reference point for that. So I'm stoked with that one.
Thank you. But I think a lot of our mirrors are broken as well. You know, we consume images on social media, and to me, actually, I like the fact that I used a male gaze rather than a female gaze, because everybody's constantly talking about women, you know, looking at themselves in the mirror, hating themselves. I didn't want to go into that, down that same route. I actually wanted to have a guy for once, you know, because I think it affects everybody, you know, different ways, maybe different self-images, but it's not something anybody is immune from. And I think some of our mirrors are broken, either because we break them ourselves or because they're presenting to us broken. And it's kind of hard to see your real image when you have that distorted surface.
That's beautiful.
That's kind of the difficulty of judgment today. It's not, you know, Jesus there with a book and going like everything is truth and everything is right. It's some of the judgments are wrong.
For sure.
Okay, what's the next one?
The devil, please, 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 please. I love that you were just completely and just 100% fearless, especially with this card. This whole deck is just, I love, especially when women have the balls enough to just be like, I'm going to make this card the way that I fucking want to, and this is what I mean, and this is what it says, and this is the art that I'm going to do. This deck is just so fearless, and I am, especially this card is so loud and so, God, it's so good.
It was hard to draw, actually. Drawing the faces of the children was really hard. And I mean, just the image reference, I went through probably 100, 200 Holocaust pictures. I went through, they were worse genocide pictures. I mean, they were the stuff that's out there, even if you just through Google Images, it was tough. And so eventually I settled on this, which was not the most gruesome, but I think the most recognizable. And then putting the symbols behind. And it's actually interesting talking about fearlessness. I had one more symbol in there, and my mom made me take it out. I had the flag of ISIS in there as well, and she was like, are you crazy? They're going to kill you. And so she was older and she was nervous, and I was like, okay, I will take it out. So the original drawing still has it, so I excised it with Photoshop, you know, and she's passed away now, so I kept it out in deference to her. But there was actually one more symbol in there, but they're exchangeable, right? It's all this fucking sense of righteousness, where I am correct in killing you, in maiming you, in hurting you, because I, for some reason, have capitalist truth, communist truth, religious truth. It doesn't matter. It's so revolting. You know, I like people who have doubts, because doubt doesn't make me pick up a gun and put a bullet in your head because you're wrong.
Oh, I love it. Keep talking.
No kidding. Wow.
Yes.
Like this image, like, it makes me want to cry, and that's how I know that it's a really, really brilliant representation of an energy captured in a card. Like, I feel that if you are looking at a tarot deck, and I can say this from personal experience now because I'm creating my own tarot deck, that you have to have a physical reaction to the cards. If you have a physical reaction to any card within any deck, then the artist behind that has done their job properly. And if it's evoked a sense of emotion, if it made you want to speak up, if it made you want to cry, if it made you want to do anything, if it made you want to action in any regard, then they've done their job. They've done their job. And this is a highly emotive card, and I think that any time that you bring children into the equation, it pulls at the heartstrings. Animals and children will pull at the heartstrings just that little bit more.
But you're right. I think divination is a visceral act, right? And if you have a deck that's just pretty or that's inane, you don't get that visceral reaction. And I don't think you tap into that wellspring that allows you or the person you read for to really discover some truth about what they need to do going forward. So I think you're making a really good point there. It's got to be authentic in order to be a deck that you can work with.
And absolutely. And it has to leave an impression so that when you walk away from your reading, when you walk away from that experience, that still marinates. You're still marinating your spirit, your soul, your consciousness, your intelligence, whatever it is, your emotions. They're all still marinating on that. And that's when you know that there was a card within your reading that spoke louder than any of the other cards. And you can sit and meditate and work through and shadow work and visual. You can do any of those more spiritual, approaches with a particular card when it actually calls out to you in such a loud manner. And it's important to have them.
And can I just say that I love that you have included all of these very evocative and controversial symbols in the Devil card, because I personally look at everything through a history anthropology lens, but because it's just the way I'm wired. And there is nothing more there's nothing more dual or presents more duality in history than the Holocaust and World War II specifically. Especially real quick tidbit, this past semester I did a very large paper and presented it at a conference about how America actually facilitated eugenics and was part of Nazi support prior to World War II. And it's people who can address these topics, these very controversial topics, in such a way that get you to actually wrap your brain around it, think about it, and think about how it affected everyone and not just one side or the other side, or the good guys, bad guys. Because rarely in history are you ever going to find a saint or sinner. You're going to find people, and there's good and bad in all of them. And that's the same thing with the Devil card. It's addiction, and it's on one side it's can be super obsessive and toxic and so forth and so on. But then you have to look at the other side too, and somewhere in the middle is the gray, so to speak.
Yeah, and I mean, I wanted to be inclusive. I didn't want to harp on one particular area. I'm not saying, only capitalism is the big evil, or only communism is the big evil, or the Nazis were the only bad people. It's, you just have to pick up a rock somewhere, and you're going to see sometimes humanity at its worst. And then to me, that's the devil. It's not the guy with the horns and the traditional dicks. It's this stuff that's going on.
Oh God, you're going to make me cry. Let's go to another card. Chase, you got another one?
Some of the troll facey ones.
What?
9 of Fire.
Okay, hold up.
Which one's the 9?
It's got a picture of.
It's a 9 or
9? Yeah, 9 of Fire. It's got the picture of like an opening. I'm actually going to ask what it is.
Here we go.
It's a particle accelerator for the U.S. biggest laser.
Okay.
It can pretty much burn a hole in anything. And when I was thinking about power, and fire to me was really, I have a couple of things where science and technology are getting a bad rep, like the dissected rat and the monkey in the lab. Mm-hmm. So I see an underside to it, but I also see the fact that we have been able to harness fire as humanity. And some of the scientific advantages that we've been able to enjoy have come with our inventiveness. And to me, that's also the fire element, the volatility, the power. And to me, the idea is to harness it responsibly. So I wanted something that wasn't like a particle accelerator for a atomic power station. I wanted something that's a laser, it's clean energy, but it has a whole bunch of power. So it's, I was researching photos. This thing is hanging out somewhere at MIT, and it's badass. And it was kind of fun to, you know, kind of try to wrap my mind around all the technical details and be able to render that.
Oh, for sure.
And this is all in pencil.
I know, like it just blows my mind. And I have to say thank you too for, though I know that I am pale and blonde, but I am Native American, and I just wanted to say a big thank you too for including people of every, like you can find every different kind of person in this deck. Like there's nobody excluded. You have every race, every gender, every. Oh,
That's
it's
one of my
so
favorites.
nice to see that. Yes, it's so nice to see that.
It's very cultural. It's very culturally inclusive.
And
Oh, daughter of water, that's
The
beautiful.
world isn't white anymore. You know, we are every color of the rainbow, and we are from everywhere. And to me, again, I hope I wasn't stereotyping. You know, I mean, having the idea of South and Africa and fire and Egypt, you know, but then Maori and you know, Polynesian culture and water. So I wanted to include more people in the deck and hopefully have somebody who's representative of the element without being too stereotypical of, you know, what that ethnic group is like.
No, it is so tastefully done. Like it's awesome.
And I have to admit, I loved drawing every single one of those people. You know, the African girl with her beads, the Maori girl with her feathers, the African warrior. Actually, to me, the 16 court cards were some of the most joyous parts of the deck to draw.
They are my favorites. The 16 court cards are my favorites. The facey,
Yes.
personal, up close, intimate nature of those cards are my absolute favorite. I feel like I'm going, like I'm leaning in, you know, I'm looking at the entire deck, but when it gets to the court, I'm really leaning in to have that much more intimate personal conversation and see facets of real life human beings.
It
That's
is
beautiful.
eye to eye. Like it is just, you're seeing somebody else from a different culture eye to eye, like as raw and as, again, I keep using the word visceral as possible. It's just, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are intimidating, man. The Queen of Fire, hell, she'd kick your ass.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I think that's really important. I just want to say this because I have a personal gripe with people who try to soften tarot cards. I think that your court, they need to pack a punch. They need to be expressions of an element in an anthropomorphized sense. So if you were to embody, if you were going to put fire into a, you know, an archetype that is empowered and that holds, you know, a tremendous amount of space in a room, like what would that creature look like? What would that person look like? And to put a Queen of Wands as demure, I have a tarot deck specifically in mind when I'm saying this. I do. I'm not going to say it because that would be wrong, but there's one in my head that makes me so angry because of the diminished capacity of their Queen of Wands. I'm getting flustered even talking about it. I think it's really important to convey a sense of strength and power and elemental presence within all of the court cards. And that helps too when you're a reader to read those cards effectively, to understand what message they're conveying, to connect with the archetypes within those decks. So that's my piece. I got really loud then, I apologize. It's important.
It is so.
No, it's I really wanted to have people who were, you know, embodiments of that and who were authentic to, you know, the kind of elements I was picking. So I'm glad that came over. Thank you.
I'm just like, with the screen share, I'm just like going through random cards at this point just to kind of show some of them. If you guys have a specific one, speak up.
The Empress. I'm telling you, I got it.
And then I would like to request Death, the Hierophant, the Tower.
Hold on.
Can we just go through one by one?
Yeah, let's just start the beginning.
You were talking about powerful women and that coming through in this deck, and I see that with the Empress. It's just this, like, she's looking down and she's not even paying attention to anything, but it's like if I saw a woman like that, just looking down, like, very curiously, like, in her mind, she's like saying, fuck with me, I dare you. I dare you. And it's just,
yeah, go ahead.
So stoic and so, like, it's awesome.
I was really trying to find, to me, it's always been the big dichotomy between the Emperor and the Empress. And so to me, both of those cards really talk to each other. The guy casting marble, you know, the powerful leader, and then the woman who's just somebody in a crowd, anonymous, we don't even know her name. and so to have that kind of contrast, the woman of the earth, the man hewn from marble, it took me a long time to figure out those two. The whole discourse, of white males and then slavery, the whole American discourse comes into it as well. But I really wanted someone as in touch with her roots as possible. And I don't know if you've seen an actual picture of Himba people. What they do is they have this mix of butterfat, resin, and ochre from the earth, and they cover their entire bodies with it, their hair, everything. And so when you see them walk around, they actually look like they're part of the earth. And they really do it, because of the intense sunlight and the insects, it just offers a form of protection. But they really look like earth people. And to have her there, as this earth woman, and then have him as the contrast, sitting on the chair, being remote, being not alive, to me that was an interesting play on opposites. And so those are definitely two cards that you have to kind of look at side by side and go like, wow, here's what's happening with her, here's what's happening with him.
For sure. And I love to, like, the fact that you can just, what is going to set you apart from a lot of other decks out there, you can create a deck and that's all well and good, and you can make it pretty and you can make it mean something, but hearing you talk about it, like, this is why the different cultures in your deck come out so well, because you've done your research, you know your cultures, your history, that's why it's done so well, because you know so much, and that comes through in this deck so well.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, I've been working with tarot since I was 20. This year is going to be my 50th birthday, so it's been 30 years in tarot. And so when you've been thinking about something and passionate about something for such a long time, eventually I think you have images in your head that you're starting to almost see as a background, as your archetype when you work with another deck. And I'm really glad I had the time and the opportunity to kind of bring them out and really think about it and have the ability to realize that, and that's really a privilege I'm very happy about and very humble about too.
We're very happy about it too.
I'm extremely happy about it.
So excited.
It's not a competition, but I think I'm more happy about it than you are, Jackson.
I doubt it. I very much doubt it.
I'm sorry I can't get the images bigger, but I pulled up the death card, Avalon, if you want to talk about this one.
Oh, yes.
So good.
I love it. I love it. I love the skull. I mean, put a bone in any picture, and my eyes will go in that direction.
Avalon's in with them.
I do like a bone or two, but I love the marriage of like botanical with bone. It's very evocative of Earth and the return to Earth. It's a beautiful thing. Can you tell me your inspiration here? I don't even think I need to ask because I'm looking at it, but you know what I mean?
Well, again, the typical card is the Grim Reaper, either death on a pale horse, or the guy with a scythe, and I wanted something again more modern and more intimate. And to me, I still remember it was a moment in my teens when I just kind of touched my own face, and we probably looked at a skull in maybe autonomy classes in biology at school, and I was like, oh my God, there is a skull under my face. There are the brow ridges, there's the jawbones, there's, it goes actually in where your teeth are, here's your jaw. And it's like, there is a skull under my face. And one day, that's all that's going to be left. And I still remember it was very profound. It should be obvious, but it was really profound insight. And so to me, to just have the skull as, this is how we're all going to end up, this is a transformation that we all undergo, seemed to be better than having the whole drama of somebody who's, gunning down people or killing people. And I think it's also more biological, it's less violent. And then having the poppies behind it, it was, on the one hand side, we die every night when we fall asleep. It's if you were trying to explain sleep to somebody who didn't know that, the idea that you're going to be motionless in one place for 6 hours or for 8 hours, and time doesn't matter, and your ego doesn't matter, and what you want doesn't matter, it's all dreams and different things going on. that's kind of a small death that we all undergo every night. And so to me, that was, my best expression, or my best approximation I can have as myself to the concept of death, if you will. Knowing that it's something that's already waiting underneath my face right now, and then that I'm already undergoing something like it every night, and we all do.
That's intense.
My God, are you going on like a tour with this deck? Because you could make people just fall for hours with the explanation of the cards.
I'm just sitting over here like.
Okay, and you said death and what else?
Hierophant! Hierophant!
Whoa, I don't need you to yell. Oh, look at him.
I love it.
And can I just say that I love that you put him standing duck-footed, because I do that and people call me weird.
That's why he was standing. I actually took a picture of him. He was at some press event, and he was just standing there, and just being himself. And I mean, like I said, I was raised Roman Catholic, and at the moment, I think we have a pretty cool Pope, but we had a couple of really horrible popes. Actually, mostly horrible popes. And so I just wanted to get to somebody who was not hung up about how he has the only truth and how everybody has to conform or they're going to go to hell or some other horrible place. And I mean, if anybody is out there who's preaching about tolerance and helping your fellow human beings, regardless of what they believe or where they come from, I think it's him. So if we have to have a kind of a religious leader, to me, he's the only one who hasn't really compromised on what they were supposed to be. And so I just liked him as a hierophant because it was kind of tying into the traditional idea of the card of a religious teacher, of somebody who's helping people to be better, to be socialized, to be responsible members of society. But somebody I could say, you know what, if you tell me that, from you, I'll buy it. From everybody else,
exactly,
not so much.
Exactly. There needs to be a sense of believable. There needs to be a sense of charm and charisma, I think, that when it comes to the Hierophant needs to draw you in, not because he's got some kind of gimmick, but because of the natural energy that he's projecting out, he or she is projecting out. And so I think that charismatic aspect of it, it's funny because I've been reading a trashy book. I was reading a trashy book a couple of months ago, and it's called The Arcana Chronicles, and it's based on the tarot. And they depicted the Hierophant in that particular story as a cult leader, and he lived underground, and his thing was that he could sort of like hypnotize and charm, and then eventually you would be bound under his spell. I won't tell the rest of the story because it will give it away, but there was this aspect of charisma. And when I was reading that book, I'm like, of course it's charisma. Like, I could never assign a word, a sentiment to it, but I'm like, of course it's charisma, because the Hierophant doesn't indoctrinate you. You come to him, and then he or she works on you, with you, and there should be positive growth from that. And yeah, I like that you've chosen him. I really like it a lot.
Okay.
I was really looking into it. It was like that's really the only one. But even in the Harry Potter deck, I mean, I'm trying to use a positive figure. In the Harry Potter deck, I used Albus Dumbledore. And again, he becomes more of a gray character later on in the books, but generally he is teaching young witches and wizards, how to be a responsible member of wizarding society. And to me, that's kind of the equivalent. Have somebody who, well, one of the original names for the Pope was the Pontifex, which means the bridge builder. And to me, that's not just a bridge builder between the whatever you want to call the divine and humanity, but also between people, and I think there's this danger of forgetting that sometimes, of going like, I'm right and you're wrong, and we're not building bridges, we're burning bridges. And he just isn't a person who does that. I think he's still building bridges, even with China, even after the horrible things that went down in Tibet with the Chinese occupation.
Jesus Christ, Elly, are you writing a book for this one? Are you going to write this information into a big chunky book to go with your tarot deck? Because I think that your personal take, your interpretations, the sentiment in which you are speaking through to convey your image to us, to explain it to us, that's worthy of a nice big chunky book. And I would love to read your guidebook. I would love to read your words in a book to go with that deck that I know that I'm going to buy because it's going to be here on my table.
There's a bunch of stuff in the notes. I've gotten a little bit more. I know for US game systems, I have to pare it down because they're pretty much limiting their booklets that go with the decks to about 10,000 words. The broader text, I guess I could just throw it out in DA.
I would love it.
If you think that's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I would love if you wrote a big
Yes.
book to go with this. Because the way that you explain it, the way that the words that you use, the language that you convey it in is phenomenal. Like, I have no words.
Wow.
It's so true. I think you could do a documentary. Your documentary could be a walkthrough of your deck, and you could be telling this exact story of each and every card and the inspiration. That would be a visual guidebook, and your emotion and your voice behind it. I think that would make for a really beautiful resource, full stop. And I think that for anybody watching this at the moment, you're giving them an insight into the energy behind each of the cards, not just from your personal tarot deck point of view, but from a modern tarot perspective. And I think that it causes things to be thrown into question, and it gets people to think. And this is where the good learning can occur, when you make people think and reassess the way that they see more traditional images. Because when a person is new to tarot, they have a tendency to go for, sort of more traditional style decks. And there are so many decks out there in sort of this modern tarot renaissance that really do convey such beautiful modern day or contemporary depictions of energies that are still bound in some of those older, more antique decks to an era that is no longer applicable to ours in its entirety. Like their struggle, the way that they communicated, the way that they dressed, some of it's the same, but a lot of it is also different. A lot of our situations need to be modernized in tarot for, a much more contemporary adherence to the vibe.
No, I think, to me, that's the power of it, that it's still relevant, that you can translate it, that the archetypes just are so enduring that they survive, and to me, that's what makes it such a vibrant tool to work with.
You've done such a good job too, because I think that a lot of decks that attempt to go contemporary, they look a bit trashy because they've actually lost something in that translation from antique, from the original antique meaning to the modern day meaning. I've seen a lot of decks that have been a bit, less hit and more miss in that regard. And you've still pulled in this cross-cultural ancient wisdom and infused it into a very contemporary look and feel, and it hasn't lost anything in that transition. It's such a well-balanced deck in the fact that there is modern, there is ancient, there is religious, there is non-religious, there is a little bit of everything in here, which is the very thing that I think makes it so well balanced and such an easy deck to pick up and look at and then have something in common with. You'll find yourself in this deck. I think that anybody who shuffles these cards, they're going to find themselves in some aspect of these cards. And to create that kind of synergy, it's you've done your job really well, let me just say.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, and if I didn't know you at all as an artist or anything else, and I looked at this deck, I would think that somebody who was a cultural anthropologist did this deck, because you have looked at the entire human condition without bias, without preference to culture, whether ancient or modern, race, religion, creed, all of that. So this deck is phenomenal. Like, I can't even believe that I stumbled across it.
Wow, thank you.
You've done so well. I've got to say here too, Elly, there's a friend of ours that's watching live at the moment. Her name is Juliana Ramirez. She's a stenographer. She's a courthouse, is that the right terminology? And she said that she would happily transcribe any video that you made speaking on this on this beautiful project. She would happily transcribe that.
Oh my God! Wow.
You have enthusiasm. You have enthusiasm for a guidebook. People are saying yes, guidebook. Someone's saying yes, I'll translate the guidebook into words for you. There's a whole lot on the power and the yes for the guidebook. Just saying.
Well, I have a lot of materials already out there. It'll be very easy to just PDF it, put it out there on DeviantArt, and I'll let you know the link once it's up. Like I said, it's written. I just had to pare it down, for the guidebook for the publication. And when I posted the pictures, I put some thoughts there, but it's not as well documented or thought out as it was in the final write-up. So I can definitely do that. So thanks for encouraging me on that. I was just kind of like, wow, they're just my thoughts, never mind. So
no, that's brilliant.
We need it.
That's a thing that's worth saying, because I'd have thousands of guidebooks behind me, around me right now, and some of them are not worth a damn. They're just somebody that wanted to write something to go with their book, and I'm like, yeah, there's nothing different. Everything's a little bit the same across the board. And then occasionally, and Ian Daniels' Phantasmagoria comes to mind. That is a guidebook that sort of stands apart from others. I find the Druidcraft Tarot deck to be another one. I find the Alchemical Tarot Handbook, to be another one. And, there's a few guidebooks that come out there. They're the ones that you actually really want to read. And so I sincerely hope that you do consider putting this information out there, because it is relevant to the deck. And it's such a great, it's a beautiful narrative to go with each and every card. And, I think it gives more dimension to the deck itself and to the images therein.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay,
yeah, do that.
Thank you. You encouraged me. I'll put it out there. Okay.
Spread the switches, changing lives.
That's right.
Yeah. Changing tarot. Okay, should we do some readings? Yeah.
Yes, let's do some readings.
Yay!
Booyah.
Did you just say booyah?
Yeah.
I'm using the Harry Potter deck.
Okay.
Oh, and if you do purchase one from her, she signs it.
When will they be up for purchase again?
Well, again, that's the whole thorny issue with the copyright. So if you let me know, I will give you my PayPal ID. And send you the pricing. Like I said, it's pretty much the cost of the print, with shipping. And I will send you a deck. But like I said, I'm not out there. I'm not loud. I'm not advertising this. The last thing I want is a couple of Warner Brother lawyers on my ass.
Understood. So it's low-key distribution at this stage.
Yeah. So it's out there. Like I said, it's privately printed. I always have a couple of copies on hand, but again, I don't want to, try to give the impression that this is a big for-profit enterprise where I should be paying royalties or being shut down or whatever.
That's understandable. And so, do you print on demand? Basically, it's a person will contact you and you'll print it on demand.
I typically have about 15 to 20 copies laid up, and they go within 2 or 3 months. And then I order the next one. It's been pretty steady, actually, since 2008 through the website.
Okay, cool. Good to know.
Did we have a release date for the New Era Elements?
No, I've been working for the last few weeks on and off with the woman who's editing the guidebook, the shortened guidebook, but I don't know. I haven't seen anything from the graphics guys yet, so I'm hoping it's going to happen this year, but they haven't given me a particular date yet. I guess they have a bunch of projects on the back burner all the time, and so maybe they're kind of leery about committing to particular dates yet. But I'm hoping it's going to happen I hope it's going to happen this year.
I would love it.
All right, guys. Do any of you guys have anything that you want us to read about before? Let me think. What's today?
Today is.
What deck are you all using? Chase, are you using?
Should,
using that one.
Should I not? Should I?
Look, I'm not going to influence you. I'm not that person.
But you are influencing me right now. You are. You say you're not, but you are.
I'm a Hierophant. I do it. It's something.
Fine. Switch over to my ukiyo-e tarot.
Oh, look at that.
Fine, you pressured me. All this pressure. Finally, I came. You win.
Do you see what I have to deal with?
Oh my gosh. Elly, would you like to pull a few cards as well? Will you be pulling some cards from any of your decks or from any of the other decks that you have around you?
Sure. I'm gonna use my elements one.
Oh, in that case, I'll use Marielle.
So I'll be able to pull cards out if I had to, and this one is kind of nicely mixed up. So.
Oh, we have a question.
Beautiful decks. We've got some awesome decks getting used here.
Marielle. Yay, very
Who
nice.
wants to answer that one?
I didn't see it.
Should I think about retiring soon?
Whoa, I got one that flipped.
There you go. To you.
Oh my gosh, hang on, I had to look. So I've got the 3 of discs.
Oh.
Okay, so we're in the area of resources here. And, you know, you could technically look at this as like a keep going card, but I don't actually want to do that because this is a very young Pentacles card. It's a very young resources card, which shows that now might actually be a really good time for you to switch the pace up a little bit, to set foundations in a different way, to play with your resources a little bit more and figure out if there's a new rhythm that you could fall into. So I would say yes. I think that now would be a really great and fortuitous time even to consider retiring or to edge into retire, or to ease into it, because that's what a lot of people do these days is they start cutting back their hours and then ease into it. And this is your opportunity to sort of build and cultivate a little bit of a platform from a hobby, from a point of passion, to learn something new, to add to your repertoire of resources that you can utilize to cultivate joy after you retire, so that you have, you know, work and purpose and good, you know, and good, you know, goodness to work with in general as you approach your retirement in full. You really succumb to it. So I think that this is a really great card. Look at that. Look at that nurturing. It's time for families as well. I just wanted to say that because look at that. It's happy family. It's time to retract a little bit and spend some time with family, spend some time with friends, nurturing, you know, familial relationships and doing all that good, yummy stuff.
And it jumped right out at you. Very cool.
It did. It just flipped. It flipped in between cards. And I'm like, oh, there you go. There you go. There you go, Jennifer Ball.
She said you were right on, man.
Of course I am.
No ego here.
Spread this witches where we don't have an ego.
I've done enough readings. I've cultivated a healthy ego from the thousands and thousands of readings that I've done.
Cultivated a healthy ego.
You know, I was bringing you guys back because last week I was like the butt of every joke. So.
I mean, with good reason.
Get up there, running pants.
Hey! Some of us don't have a chance to get fully dressed before we have to be live on camera. Okay?
Yeah, but he actually said to us, he's like, "You want to know? You want to know what I'm wearing right now? What I'm not wearing right now?" And I'm like, "Please don't flash me."
No, and then on top of that, I said I'm only half dressed, which was not.
That's right.
Which
That's
is
right.
not
I'm only half dressed, and I'm
totally
like,
accurate.
my eyes went about this big, and I went.
Please don't crotch flash me, is what she said.
Just
Don't flash. That's
Right above the desk and below the desk. You know, we don't talk about below the desk.
what I said. I only have to be dressed from here up. It's fine. But
That was his defense.
Hey, y'all told the rest of the story. All I said was running pants. I didn't even say what kind.
well, I'm sponsored by ASICS, so they're ASICS running tights, so it's fine.
Did you just say tights? You're wearing
Yep,
tights.
they're running tights. Yeah, I did. I'm sorry, compression pants. If they're on a dude, they're compression pants. the proper terminology.
Okay, anybody else? Anybody else?
Moving on.
Moving on. Wait, do we have another episode before Midsummer? Yeah, no?
Yes.
Do we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
We got our one coming on.
Wow. Oh, yeah, that's right. We do. Okay.
I'm hosting that one.
When is the full moon? The 10th?
Shoot.
I'll tell you using my amazing tarot app in just a minute.
My amazing tarot app.
I usually know off the top of my head, but I don't.
Okay, so it's in Sagittarius and it's around the Thursday, Friday mark. I can't tell you exactly the time. I'm thinking more Friday. Yeah, no, definitely more Friday. On Friday, it tells me that it's going to be 99.6% full. So we're looking at that transition from Friday to Saturday.
We have another question too from Miss Chris Ashburn.
I love her midwifery for the soul.
Oh my God! Did you see this? Did you see that card just literally flew out and it's near the door, like it's 1.5 meters away from me.
It did not want to be around you at all whatsoever.
It was alright. It was face down. It wasn't appropriate meaning for all of us.
Okay. I'm waiting until something jumps out, Chris. We can all read this one, yeah?
Yeah.
Why
You
not?
can.
Why not? They all go together really well. Like, I don't know how we do it, but ooh.
We do it though. Oh, you got something? I heard it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the one that popped out for me, Chris, is I don't know.
Ooh.
No, Ace of Swords.
Ready.
Yeah, this is the Ace of Swords from the Harry Potter tarot. And Ace of Swords, you know, you're talking about a project you're just starting, so this is super appropriate. I think that you're still cultivating the ideas and getting all of your mental ducks in a row, so to speak, as to what's going to come first, second, third. And the only thing that I caution you about is you're looking at all of the details of something, but kind of focus out and look at the big picture. So make sure you're looking at both the big picture and the small details. Don't overlook one or the other, because you have to see the forest and the trees in this project that you're trying to pull off. And definitely, I would say start some, which I know you, so I know you've already done this, but some sort of journal or some type of listing device for yourself, something to help your intellectual memory, keep all that stuff in order. And I would also say this this picture has, is this an owl in this picture?
No, it's an eagle, but that's just
It's
in the,
eagle.
you know, that's the Rowena Ravenclaw's kind of, you know, totem animal, if you will.
Well, excuse my vision because it's super blurry, so I couldn't tell. But that would make total sense as to why I got the whole make sure that you're zooming out and looking at the big picture thing. But also don't discount your own intuitive wisdom in that as well. Like, don't get so caught up in your head that you don't listen to your gut instinct as well. So does anybody else have a card? What do you got? What do you got in your mouth?
A card. So what popped out of my deck as you were talking was the Page of Swords. So we're still into this whole, yeah, right? Like we're still into this whole, you know, immature kind of idea of, you know, putting things together. We're not really sure yet. And, you know, if we are looking at, you know, I don't think that it's something that you should move forward with yet until you sort of get out of this Page and Ace state. Obviously, it is very young, it's very new, it's very mature and unsettled. So maybe, you know, in this discombobulated sort of state, you know, the Page for me also represents a transition. It's a transition from one place to another. And in that, again, it tells me that is it going to where it needs to go or where you want it to go? No, I don't think that it will yet. you know, sit back, relax, you know, take a second look at it. Again, as Allorah was saying, look at it from a broader perspective. Don't have eagle eye vision. You know, we tend to get this sort of tunnel vision where we think we see so well because we can see this one thing really, really well. You take a step back, put it all into perspective, and maybe even come up with a second, you know, what's coming out to me, come out with a second idea, a second way to approach it. Because, you know, yes, always have a plan B, and always know that, and I'm going to use this as a reference point, and it's going to be super cheesy, but hang on with me, it will make sense, I swear. So like when I I do like a daily general energy reading on my Instagram. Well, I do it once, and then I will never use that first one. I will always say, okay, well, I did it. So if I did this once, and I can do it better if I do it a second time. So coming back into this reading, so you've done it once, and maybe, you know, you've come up with a plan, and you know, you think it's good. Well, if you come up with it once, then there should be no harm in, you know, coming up with a plan B, a second approach, a second. There's always being prepared and setting a foundation and those kinds of things. Ta-da!
Anybody else got a card?
I've got one. Elly, would you like to pull a card?
I did, and I actually get another sword card. It's the 7 of Swords. Ugh. Does it even show? I don't know.
We are such a fan of that card on this show.
It's deception. I actually chose a cuckoo being fed by, you know, its adopted bird that, you know, has no business feeding the cuckoo. And so staying with the whole sword imagery, I think there's also a way where there's a danger of either misleading yourself or others. And it's basically, you think you're getting the right signals to make you go forward in a certain direction, but you may be seeing what you want to see rather than what's really there. And so it kind of goes with this whole, there's a lot of mentation going on about this new project. And there is a certain tendency to either misleading yourself, deceiving yourself, or even deceiving others, not necessarily with bad intention, but there's a whole bunch of stuff going on that you think is true that not necessarily is. And so kind of cutting through some of that, maybe false hopes, you know, unrealistic expectations, I think is going to be an important aspect as well. So, you know, the sword cards are powerful because they cut through a lot of the crap. And so you can get to the truth, but there's also this idea that you really get yourself in this whole mental wishful thinking kind of thing, and you definitely want to avoid that. There's a certain danger with that as well.
Will you move?
I like it.
Yep.
My contribution to this is the Strength card.
Oh, I love that from her deck. I love that line. That is gorgeous.
Isn't it beautiful? It's lovely. It's a beautiful card. It's got a lot of fire. It's got a lot of passion, a lot of courage here. And so building on what, I can hear myself, I can hear the echo of myself. That's why I got distracted then. Building on what, you know, has already been said here, Chris, I would say that Chase has hit the nail on the head with the plan B. I think that when you mind map out something, and I would recommend this, I'm huge on mind maps because I have a very creative brain, and then I get over enthusiastic about shit, and I think that I can manage a whole bunch of different aspects of a project, and then what really happens is I can't, and so I'm derailed a lot of the time by my own enthusiasm. But what he was saying about, you know, having your initial crack at it from a planning perspective, and then looking at it, taking that perspective, which is what Allorah has said, and then building on also what Elly said about really getting realistic about the your expectations, you know, managing those expectations clearly, and then putting all of that wisdom to one side, and then doing your second analysis, your second, you know, projection of your desired project from a business perspective, and putting much more emphasis in fire and passion and courage, in you know, coming from a place of pure clarity too when you do this, because you've already gone through the crap of doing it once. You've already taken things into consideration very carefully. You've kind of looked for through the minefield. You've assessed where the cracks might lie, and you've taken a much more broader overview of the situation, and therefore you can cultivate a new plan for your project from a place of pure wisdom and more integrated wisdom as well, because you've got two sides of that coin then. And then for me, strength is about that courage, and there's a force to strength that is quite, it's rarely ever mentioned, but there's a quiet force to it. And I think that one of the magic aspects of strength is having that fortitude, having that ability to stand very still when the enthusiasm or the fire of enthusiasm is raining, when people are pushing and pulling you in all different directions, being very still, wanting to act, yes, but then waiting for that opportune time in which to do so. And then when you do finally go and take that step forward, it's about the full force of that strength card in that regard. So there's a timing aspect to this particular card as well, and I think that time is of the essence. That's my take. How did I go? Did I weave everyone in there?
That's a good thing.
I tried.
Why do I hear clicking?
That was me rubbing my cards against the zipper part of my laptop bag.
Oh, okay.
Was it
I
this?
just said laptop bag.
Was it that?
Okay, okay, let's not.
I was just reaffirming that that's what. Yeah, okay.
Children, they're like children.
We are like children. I'm not gonna argue that. I'm not gonna.
It's so much
Young
fun
at
having
heart,
you
I
guys.
have a youthful spirit. That's what I'm going with.
You should have seen us last week. Last week was the most non-productive. We were like children, literally like children last week.
Well, Laura showed me the one from 2 weeks ago. I think.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So I watched that. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yes.
How could you, Laura? How could
I'm
you?
surprised you're sitting here right now. If I was you, I would have been like, oh, hell no.
No,
I'm not going over that shit.
here's the thing. I figured if she watched that and still wanted to do it, it's like trial by fire. Like, if you
Just
still
jump
want
in.
to do this after seeing us, then we're golden. Like, there's
That's right.
nothing we can do to scare you off.
Oh, that's good.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Do we have any other questions, though?
Chris, are you okay? Do you need like an oracle card for a warm hug? Because I feel like that was like a super hard.
No, we just came at you.
I know.
Well, I think strength just wrapped the whole thing up really well. You know, and it's kind of like, you know, if you think it through and then you just put your mind to it, you know, and you get your energies on it, you make it happen. You know, I thought it was a good reading. I think my card was probably the suckiest out of the whole lot.
I love the Seven of Swords, though. Like, give me a Seven of Swords. Like, give it to me. I love it.
Chris's reply to that. She said, okay, totally lines up, all of it. And I have a plan B. I'm doing a test round right now, then going back to reassess. Hashtag Earth Signs for the win.
Earth sign / air.
Oh, she's a Capricorn.
Okay. All
So
right.
that makes sense for her.
Yes.
They usually have their ducks in a row.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's beautiful. Do we have another one? Do we have any others?
Come on.
Keep them coming. This is my favorite part.
Yeah, man.
People watching, in your capital letters, type out your question. You have the opportunity to have the dynamic Elly pull a card for you. This is like,
Yeah.
this is what dreams are made of, people.
Apparently,
your
like
moment.
when she pulls a card for you, you get what the card means, and then you get like a whole psychoanalytic profile.
Yeah.
That's what I feel she does with her card. Like, she's like, and at the beginning of time, and I'm like, no, I'm serious. It's awesome.
Tell me more. It is awesome. It is awesome. How can I get out of this rut and become independent again?
Ooh.
Asks Adana Knows It All. Well, if you know it all, why you gotta ask a question? Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
What an ass!
It was a joke. It was a joke. We will gladly answer your question. So who wants to? Is this you, Elly?
I have a great card for that.
Go.
It's the sun.
Oh, I love that.
That's so
Which to me is a beautiful card to draw. I'm Leo, so I'm a sun sign anyway, so I'm always happy when I draw the sun. And to me, it's a card where you should be brave enough to be yourself, be authentic, get yourself out there with who you really are. And the people who can accept that, the people who can be with you like that, those are the people you want to keep around. And the folks who run away screaming for the hills, you know what? It's probably time to have them go screaming for the hills. And so if you feel you're stuck somewhere and maybe you're stuck because you're trying to be everything to everybody, or you're being somebody to people who you are not, this card is kind of the way to break free and to say, you know what, here is what my core is. Here is who I am really, what I want, what my goals are, my aspirations, my dreams, what I care about. And you let that out, and you will find the people who will gather to that like flowers to the light. And those are the people you want to surround yourself with, and that's how you want to go forward. So that's my take on it, the sun.
So good.
It's a beautiful take. I got a good one. Who's next? Are you going to put, is everyone pulling a card?
Yeah.
I have one, but I'm not following that up, so somebody else can go.
Go
I'll
on.
follow that up.
Go for it, yeah.
I'll follow it up. Because
Yeah.
I've got Mario, and I feel like Mario's like all balls, you know?
Yep.
One of those decks. So I have got the Ten of Cups, which is a card of rejoicing, right? It's a card of, elements coming together. It's a card of synergy, and it's a card of the realization of the core elements of happiness, peace, and harmony in your life. So really examining your existence up until this point. Now, the thing that I find rather amusing about this card is there's an element of gratitude that oftentimes goes unnoticed, and it helps to focus on the Ten of Cups to find what elements are actually missing in your life, and realizing that you're not actually in a state of lack, you're in a state of have. You're in a state of fulfillment and completion. And if you can disconnect from this, I don't have this at this moment in time, I haven't completed this at this moment in time, then that just drags you into a past mindset, a mindset where things are not right, they're not connected, they're not completed, and there's so much lack within that mind space. The Ten of Cups asks you to step forward in a very emotional sense and be very present in your body as you do this, and understand that you have, in fact, come a very long way. You have, in fact, achieved quite a bit. And it doesn't matter how those achievements are reflected out into the world, if they're in certificate format, if they're in the format of a baby, if they're in the format of a business, if they're in the format of an idea or creative passion. The fact of the matter is the perception, the attention, the focus needs to be shifted from what you don't have to what you do have, and the celebration of what you do have, because then you'll find if you sit there and you pay close attention to that which you do have rather than that which you don't have, you are going to be in a state of rejoice, because every human being and the spirit they're in with every human being, they are capable of this aspect of rejoicing if they just switched off that brain and looked at and stopped focusing what they haven't completed and what they haven't done yet, and focused instead on what they have completed and the aspects that they have come to learn, the wisdom that they have cultivated, the achievements that they have attained. And it's a beautiful card of self-reflection in a very positive fashion, and it brings this emotional interconnectedness, with mind, body, and spirit as a result of that, because you are in fact shifting your perspective, you're shifting your paradigm, you're shifting the way that you focus in your life, and you're looking more outward than you are looking to the past or to the lack aspect within your body, so within your physical being. So yeah, focus on your good stuff. Focus on your good stuff, love.
Go ahead, Kate.
All right, so what I drew was the Ten of Swords, and this is what I see the Ten of Swords is like a Three of Swords amplified, right? So we look at the Three of Swords and it's just stuck in the heart. When we look at a Ten of Swords, it's stuck in the body, it's stuck in the mind, it's everything. And I feel like this is where you feel like you are right now, but I feel like it's very much a farce. I feel like everything that you have and are capable of, you already have it. You instead of looking, I feel like the answers you're looking for are outward, and the swords are telling me that It's inward. It's already there. It's in your mind. It's just something. It's a confidence thing. If you can reach inside yourself and find a new perspective or find a new way of looking at something, or the answer is there and it's already with you. And we all have this ability to be independent. And it's a lesson of figuring out that, especially when it comes to other people. And this is coming from a super loving place. We have to find that in relationships, that's something that is a want. That is not a need. A relationship with someone else, whether it be through friendship or with a lover or anything like that, that is a want. We don't need that in order to exist. It's the things that we need in life are food or water, sunshine. Those are the things that we need. And once we figure out that we can exist without the approval of somebody else, then we can blossom into this beautiful thing, and we can take the swords out of our bodies and we can stand again, and we can be this incredible being that we have been able to be this entire time. We've been stuck in this need for approval from someone else. We give other people so much power and so much control over us, and I think these swords represent when you look at a traditional Rider-Waite, I think those swords very much represent the power that we give other people. If we give that to someone else, they will at some point step on you, because nobody knows you like you know you, and they will absolutely judge you and they will absolutely use you. And again, I mean that from a very loving place. It's we have to figure out that we are the independent, strong person that we are, and we are built that way, and we are created to be that way. So you've got it. You just got to tap into that, and that's going to be up to you, on how to do that.
Yeah, and to seg on that, I think having the sun card before, that's kind of the shadow of that, right? The people who can't follow you into your light, that's what you shed, that's what you cut off, literally, that's what you let go. So I think those two cards are kind of, giving the same message, telling it different ways.
So it's crazy the words that came out of your mouth, Chase. Because the card that came out of my deck, and Elly is the artist, so this is awesome because it just goes so well. So this is the Four of Wands in the Harry Potter, and the wands, I don't know if you can, they're spines. And so Chase said, take the swords out of your body and stand again. So it's like you have not been standing up for yourself, and you've kind of watered down your beliefs and your perspectives and what you like and what you don't like, and you've kind of kowtowed to your audience. And
I can hear you.
Can you mute your mics for me? Because I get a lot of feedback. There we go. But Chase said, take the swords out of your body and stand again. These spines are crooked, but they're standing on their own, and they're lit with fire. So you got to find your passion inside yourself, have a backbone. My dad always used to tell me, in this world, you have to have two legs and a backbone. And of course, it's metaphorical, meaning you have to stand up for what you believe in, your principles, your values, your likes, your dislikes, and don't, like Chase said with the Ten of Swords, and was repeated with the Sun card and with what Avalon said, you can't, and I'm still learning this because I'm a people pleaser. You're never going to please everybody all of the time. And I think once you realize that, you will realize that you are independent, and it's not something that you're going to find externally. It's something that you're going to find internally. Now, you may be in a situation where you say, like, I really can't stand up for my own beliefs, this, that, and the other. But there are ways around it. Where there's a will, there's a way. It may not be the way that you would like to convey your beliefs or display your beliefs, but there's always a way around it if you're willing to bend here and there. But bending doesn't mean watering yourself down and not believing what you believe for the sake of others and all that. Don't get me wrong. But and also this also talks about what I always think about this with the Four of Wands. It's about community and working as a team. And so look for like-minded people, find a tribe that you resonate with. It can be friends, family, whoever, coworkers, but really try to put yourself out there, so to speak, because there is strength in numbers, even internally, because when we feel like we have people that we resonate with and that get us and that understand us on whatever level it is that we're looking for, there's this weird inner peace that you get from it that I can't really describe. But yeah, I would just say that in addition to everything that's been said, you know, so that's my wrap up for that.
Yeah, my last sentence for that too, you know, find your convictions. That is who you are. That is what you will stand up for. Those are the things that you will not change. And from there, that will attract the right people to you.
Yep, beautiful, beautiful. Sorry, my daughter woke up. I had to change a nappy. The reality of my situation.
All right, I can do one more if there's one more question, but I have a fairly early start tomorrow for work, and I still have to prepare a presentation, so I kind of want to do that before I'm completely brain dead. So
Feel that.
if there's one more, I'll definitely have to join in, but then I kind of have to call it a night.
We hear ya.
Fabulous, fabulous. Okay, there is a couple there. I've seen a couple.
Kay Jackson, I'm considering a big move at the end of the year. Should I take the leap or stay put? Did I skip somebody?
There's a Clara G, I think. Claire G. She's got a new business.
Did she finish her question?
The second sentence, in addition to my question, I'm not quite sure what that means exactly. So I was just scrolling up to see.
Waiting for clarification, maybe?
Claire G. Can anyone else see anything from Claire G? I'm just looking to see if there's...
I couldn't figure it out.
How about a little, hey Claire, how about a little bit of, expound on that a little bit, maybe?
In the meantime, let's go to Kay Jackson, and who's considering a big move at the end of the year and wants to know if she should take the leap or stay put. This is exciting. I'll try to let my own personal opinions not influence this, because I'm a huge mover, and as is Chase.
I know, I was just about to say, that's like my worst fear too, is that I'm going to tell everybody yes, because I'm a nomad, so I am a mover.
Marielle has got a little something for me today, because she's throwing all of her cards out to me. I just got another one flip right at the top. The other one flipped in the middle. The other one flew across the floor. It's dynamic.
Okay, I should not be the first to go.
I had a card fly out at me, and I wanted to flew out at me from the Ukiyo-e Tarot, and then I wanted to draw the card from my Rider-Waite Smith deck so I can talk about this card. So can I go first?
Yeah.
All right. So as far as a move, so I drew, this was the card that I drew, and this is the one card of this deck that I'm like, so I had to draw it from the Rider-Waite Smith, because I think this gives a much better idea of what the Seven of Cups is. So in keeping it nice and simple, and you know, it's a sort of a yes or no kind of divination question, but to give it sort of this sort of cloudy yes, there are, you know, the Seven of Cups is about multiple possibilities, and you know, this card is saying to me that yes, now is a good time for you to move, but so is a month from now, and so will be 2 months from now, so is yesterday. You know, right now you are in a place where you are stable enough to do that, and you'll be in that place again 2 months from now, 6 months from now, It's just, you know, the possibilities are absolutely there for you. And I got to use my Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Booyah.
Children.
Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Mommy.
Sorry, Mom.
Hashtag Virgos.
Hashtag my mother Stevie Wonder.
Do not hate.
I love you. And in that spirit, I'm going to go next because I feel like, you know, getting in there, because I've got, and this is the card that flipped out, it's the Knight of Discs. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, you should move. Because for me, when it comes to the court cards, the Knights depict movement. And the Knight of Discs, the Knight of Earth, the Knight of Pentacles is stable, grounded, well thought out, practical movement. So, you know, be practically minded as you go about your processes. But yes, move. And understand that moving is not the be-all and end-all of any situation. Manage your expectations as you do, prepare to move, because there's a lot of people that go out there and think, okay, I'm going to move to this place and all my dreams are going to come true because I've moved to this one place where everything seems like it's, you know, within my, you know, my vibration level, you know, a more mystically minded person, say here in Australia, might go towards Byron Bay because there's like a hippie spiritual movement down there, and they all think that that's going to be the Mecca, the saving grace, right? But at the end of the day, it's another place. It's another place with another house, with another set of bills, you know, with another, you're going to need to learn your maps. You're going to need to learn how to drive through your new town. You're going to need to get a job. You're going to need to do all those practical things. So focus on the practicality aspect of that. But yes, definitely do move, and don't be hindered by, you know, any worry, concern, misguided, creepy little, what is it called? Intrusive thought. Because whenever we're about to do something that seems relatively bold to us and our spirit, then we are oftentimes plagued by intrusive thoughts. You know, this could happen, that could happen. Oh my God, what if that happened? And there's no room for that in the process of movement. You want to move clearly. You want to cut ties, and you want to go, and you want to plant your roots again, and it needs to be a clean thing that happens. And so the Knight of Pentacles, or the Knight of Discs, I feel has come to your aid in this particular regard, and is giving you the opportunity to do this now in a very stable, practical, and well thought out manner, which is probably against your romantic ideas of moving, but it's definitely going to lead to longevity there.
Okay, I'll go next, and then I will let the lovely Elly wrap it up. So the card that flipped out for me was the Five of Pentacles. Very awesome depiction. With this card, I feel like what it's saying is you're going to have to accept help when it's being offered. Don't turn help away. And that's in resource, like whether it's money or somebody helping you move, or somebody helping you run a truck, or somebody helping you, you know, do whatever. Say yes to the help. Also be mindful of, I would say, just be mindful of your spending habits and things like that. Since you know, it is a good time to move. You just want to make sure that you have all of your financial ducks in a row, and you have all of your scheduling planned out and things like that. So this is kind of like the card of practical responsibility when it comes to moving. Just make sure you have everything lined up and good to go, and don't turn down help during this move.
I think that's a really great point. I would also say, for me, the Five of Discs, there could be this innate fear in you that your material basis is threatened or is getting eroded by this move. But this could really just be your own fear. I would not necessarily let you be scared because of that. But I think this visceral fear of, oh my God, my support system is what I'm relying on right now is breaking away, is definitely there. And I think it's whether it's realistic or not, it's a decision. And so be mindful of that and try to keep what is a real fear, you know, that actually has a reason in fact, from just this general feeling of, oh my God, you know, what am I giving up by moving? So you definitely want to divide that up. And I think what's speaking into that was the card I picked up, which was knowledge, which is the Six of Swords, which is do your research. Where are you going? What's going on? What do you need? What do you need to do to make this happen? Depending on where the move is it a new city? What are, prices? What are rents there? What do you have to be mindful of? So I think doing your research and knowing your facts and feeling assured that you know what you let yourself in for are going to, help you in a constructive way with maybe some of the fear where you feel materially you are threatened. But I think it's realistic, and I think what we saw with the Page of Wands, you're going to have the clear-minded level-headedness to see it through properly. And I think from the first card, you have the dreams also, to kind of guide you to your new place and where you want to be and why you want to be there. So, cool.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Do you guys want to release Elly, and then do you guys want to finish Claire's question?
Yep. So
I don't want to stop you guys. I mean, you're on a roll. Actually, I would love to hang with you guys again. This was so much fun. It doesn't have to be about our decks whatsoever. I mean, just reading cards with you is just awesome. So I had a blast tonight. Thank you.
Oh, well,
that's so awesome.
You know that I'm going to be like messaging you, asking you when I can get a copy of the new Era Elements Tarot and when the book's coming out. And
I'll keep posting on my DA site, when I got news. And then next few days, I'm going to go ahead and put out the entire, just the book on the deck, which is there. I just have to PDF it and just kind of upload it as all. So it'll be there very short.
That's so exciting. That is so exciting. That's so exciting. I'm so excited for that particular thing. And I too will be acquiring some of your decks, and in the next 6 weeks, it'll be happening.
Awesome.
In the next 6 weeks.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And like I said, have a great evening. And thanks so much for having me on. I really enjoyed it.
It was an honor.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Just hit the little red phone.
Oh
my gosh, she was so
Isn't she wonderful?
She is mind-blowingly amazing.
Isn't she wonderful?
So good.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I felt like I was in the presence of a true genius,
Seriously.
I don't get nervous for these episodes, but I was literally legit nervous.
I was like just captivated when she started talking. Every time she talked, I was like,
I was very captivated, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was I want to hear the story.
Like braingasms repeated.
Yes. Oh gosh, hearing her go through her cards and talk about where she drew that inspiration from was hands down one of the most joyful tarot experiences
of my life.
From a non-reading point of view that I've ever had. That was more educational than many of the books I've read.
Well,
many.
The woman has PhDs, people.
She's freaking amazing.
She does, doesn't she?
Get them for nothing.
Right? Awesome.
Yeah, English literature and art history, I believe.
Oh, look at that. Presence of greatness. See?
Okay. My husband and I want to start a new business, but we are not sure. My husband is only working and I'm a stay-at-home mom. My husband, oh no, wait, it repeated it. Okay. Just not sure if my husband should leave his current job and put all of our energy into it.
Okay.
Should I deck switch or should I stick with Marielle?
I had a card just like leap out at my face.
You know what? I'm deck switching. Why does that sound dirty?
It like the way you said it. I was like, oh. You're doing what?
Are you switching to Allorah?
I am switching to the first deck that I bought so I had the same deck from the time I was a teenager until I was 24 or 5. And then I got a second one. And this is it. The Gilded.
Is that Legacy?
No, it's the Gilded
Tarot Dreams?
No, Gilded Tarot.
Like that was so much fun to watch from the outside.
She's like Tarot of Dreams.
That was like a grandma grandpa moment. Grandma. Grandma, listen, Grandma. She sang
It up.
Legacy? Grandma, Gilbert. Since you both are still shuffling, I will gladly go first with a card that jumped out at me. All right,
Excuse
Claire.
me. Do not deny me this opportunity to reveal what deck I've reached for. Like, this is a big moment.
My sincerest
How dare you, sir?
of
How dare you?
apologies to.
I'm excited because it's my new one. It's the slow holler.
The who? The what?
That's all I have. It's the slow holler tarot.
I can't get into it because it's 9,000 different artists.
Yeah, but the color palette is all the same. Look at that.
Yeah, but I just can't.
You don't like that? So you don't like the 78 decks either?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I do. I just don't like that one.
It's the same concept.
No, it's okay. Like, no, that looks like a whole bunch of, like, they drew, I don't know how to explain it, and then like spiders crawled all over it. Like, it's just weird. I don't know.
Okay. And on that note,
I told you.
what card do you have?
All right. So, Claire, we have. Hold on. I just want to make sure that Avalon is done with her piece before I try. Okay. All right. I was just making sure.
It's Christmas morning, and I'm gonna have to separate you into different quarters because you're fighting over who gets to open the present first.
Yes, that's a reference to Chase. Could actually be my brother that pulled my hair. You know, that annoying brother.
I'm a bully.
Did that be?
True. It's true.
Okay.
All right. 10 of Wands. So we're talking about, do we want to put all of our eggs into a basket and start this new business? Well, as all endeavors go, well, I'll say this too. As all endeavors that are worth it, that are worth the energy, you know, the 10 of Wands is a struggle card. You know, you can, as long as you put in the work, and as long as you understand that going into it is going to be work. It's not anything that's just going to happen magically. There's not going to be any magic behind it. It's going to be assured with hard work, and it's going to take both of you, and it's going to seem like it was a bad idea, but you know, if those will be those moments are the moments that you know, will spur you to action, as you know, the Wands are an action card. You have to understand that, you know, this is how you're going to pay the bills. If this does not succeed, you know, it's about putting food on the table. It's not just, you know, about you know, can we, you know, have money to go on vacation? This goes back to the very real resources of our life. Can we feed ourselves with this? Can we keep the lights on with this? Can we house ourselves with this? And to do that, it's not going to be easy. And a good business, again, I repeat myself, it's all things that are worth it take work. Nothing that just happens, you know, is worth very much because you didn't have to put the energy and the time and the resources into it. So should you do this, if you are well planned and you understand that what you're getting into, and also understanding the struggle is going to be that you start a new business and it's guaranteed in the first 2 years of your business you're not going to make any money, because you're setting foundations and setting the skeleton of your business, and it will be about paying the bills and doing those kinds of things. So if you're prepared for that, yeah, absolutely. I think that it's an endeavor that you should take on, but you have to be prepared and just understand that the struggle will be real.
I knew you were going to say that.
And I was holding off because I wanted to end with it. I kept wanting to say it, and I kept trying to say it, and I was like, nope, final sentence.
You're going to love the card that I pulled then.
Okay, are you going next, or am I?
Well, I think that my card's the decider, so I reckon I'll go last.
Okay. Okay, so this was interesting. So the first card that popped out was the Four of Pentacles, right? So I'm like, well, I need some context here, because this indicates, you know, being materialistic, holding on to things, yada, yada. So then I pulled another card, and it's the Tower. So what this says in tandem with one another is, you're going to have to give resources if you want this to work. You can't sit back and be very tight with your money and your time and your all of your resources, whatever you've got, and hoard them and be very afraid to invest them in this new venture, to put yourself out there, to do this, that, the other. You're going to have to completely uproot your foundation to create a new beginning and give a lot. And you also want to change how you look at money and your relationship to money. I don't know if that makes sense in the way that I'm saying it, but there's a lot of people out there who have a negative relationship with money. And it's very easy to get caught up in everyday life because, a lot of us are middle class or lower middle class, and we think, I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, or I don't have enough money for this, or, there's always something that we want that we don't have. And that's what we focus on instead of focusing on, well, I put food on the table, I have the lights on, I have a place to live, I have everything that I need. So you want to kind of change your perspective in your relationship with money, because if you have a negative relationship with money and you focus on the negative aspects, that's what you're going to draw to you. So I definitely recommend switching that perspective and understanding that to get, you're going to have to give. All right, Avalon.
Okay, well, it's not good. It's not good. Because I got the 10 of knives. And so this is a card that traditionally depicts trouble, conflicts, issues, lots of headaches, argument. I think that this is, if you choose to go down this path, then you need to be prepared. You need to brace for this, for these arguments and for the stress. But basically, it's the byproduct of stress. When people are stressed, they tend to react and act in ways that are really not necessarily reflective of their true spirit. And so that could be a lot of worry, a lot of anxiety, a lot of falsely said words. And I think that it's going to be very challenging. Should you choose to go down this path, it's going to be very, very challenging, and you need to brace for that and decide if you are prepared to walk that very hard path initially. I think that the initial stages of this will be far more difficult than you're led to believe at this stage. I think it will be fraught with unexpected ordeals and trauma and troubles, not trauma, but troubles. And that could be something that's easily avoided should you really do your research, your very thorough research. I would even go as far as to say, get an accountant and a business manager to really help you to measure out your resources and see what it is that you're capable of. And then from a more personal perspective, I'd be inclined to do a mind map to decide exactly how much time and energy can you at this very moment in time invest in this situation, and try to mediate some of these conflicts before they arise, because it's going to be a bumpy road. That's what I've got to say.
All right. Well, I think we should wrap it up. I have a couple things to say before we exit here. A couple things that are coming up in 2 weeks. Who are we having, Chase?
So I am so honored to bring on the first live interview that I ever had was with Arwen Lynch. And so I am so excited to be hosting on my channel the next episode of STW with our guest, Arwen Lynch. So I'm really excited for that.
And we're really not sure what the topic is, but we know that she's a professional joy seeker. So it's probably going to have something to do with joy.
It's going to be so happy.
It's going to be the happiest episode ever.
Fucking happy.
And we have new stuff coming up for you guys. We've got a lot of things in the works. We are actually going to have the 2017 STW Tarot Awards. And for those, we're going to bring back some old faces that are probably very familiar to you guys. We're also working on some other projects that are top secret. You guys will get let in on them in just a couple weeks. And other than that, I can't think of anything else that I have. You guys?
Yeah, if I am allowed to say something real quick.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to, and I'm not trying to bring everybody down into a moment right now, but I just wanted to, so I got a message earlier today from a friend of mine who I'm trying to give as little information as possible, but get the full effect that it had on me. And, I just want us as tarot readers to understand the power that we have, and the influence that we have, and the ability that we have. It is a gift, and it changes lives. And so I got a message earlier today from somebody who just going through just crap. I mean, just crap on top of crap on top of crap, losing a job, losing family members, and all at the same time, and kind of a crisis situation a little bit as far as between life and death. And she let me know that I was her reason and her resource, and that my tarot videos were changing her life and making her happy, and trying not to get emotional here. But I want everybody to understand, and the influence that I want to bring to the show is that we have so much influence and so much to give people, and sometimes we are the best thing that somebody has in their life. And this particular person said that I was sitting in my bathroom, unsure of what my next steps in life were, and I was crying just watching your videos, because you give me so much joy and bring me so much joy with your love of tarot. And so again, I finished that with just we have so much to give, and even beyond the show, just tarot readers in general, we really do influence people and affect people. So go out this week and keep that in mind as you do your next tarot reading, and reach your fingers out and affect somebody else's life.
Beautiful.
Love.
That's beautiful. Yes, that's very beautiful, very fitting, I think, as well. I think you're absolutely right. We do have a tremendous amount of influence. That's something that I'm reminded of on a daily basis. I read tarot to keep me humble. I read tarot for my children. I allow them to pull a card, and I explain that card to them. And because I want them to have the absolute best day possible, there's no way that I'm not going to give them, a really clear perspective on what a card means, so that they can walk away with not only an understanding of that card should they want to read tarot in future, but also an understanding of the hope that lies behind every single card, and the way that the message of a card can be conveyed to another person to give them their life power and meaning. And I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful.
It absolutely is.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for this episode, and I hope you join us next week with Arwen Lynch. I'm super excited. And
So excited.
Yes, and stay tuned for more tarot news and more beautiful Spread the Switches antics, and just all the awesome stuff that tends to be concocted behind the scenes.
So
for
much
you.
stuff coming. You have no idea, you guys. There is so much stuff coming.
We talk a lot to each other. Like, we talk a lot, don't we? We talk a lot.
We do. We do. Probably more than we should, but we do it anyway.
I talk to you guys more than people I know in real life.
Yep. We have good stuff coming, though. We are going to blow your mind.
It's a beautiful day.
It is.
All right, beautiful people. I'm going to say goodbye to you, beautiful audience.
Love you guys.
Ready, Rick's going to say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, guys.